Welcome back to Module 8, the last and final module in EDD 811, Assessment and Data-Driven Decision Making. This week's module focuses on operationalizing improvement in assessment and decision making. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this voyage or journey as we set sail to deeply understand principles of assessment and data-driven decision making, especially in terms of driving and leading systemic change. This week at a glance reveals that we've got several major learning objectives that really align with our overview. Those are that by the end of this week, you should be able to clearly define and explain operationalization, why it's important in assessment, that you would explore, explain, and delineate various strategies for effectively assessing individual and organizational outcomes, leverage, report, and interpret data in ways that help you solve real-world problems and make informed decisions or recommendations for continuous improvement. And then lastly, to list, select, and justify use of certain data types and analysis units required to assess the achievement of process, driver, outcome, and balance measures in keeping with your overall driver diagram for your problem of practice. This module, believe it or not, we have reached the end of the course, and thus this module serves as the culminating synthesis of EDD 811. And this unit particularly brings together key concepts by emphasizing practical measurement techniques in educational and work settings. It also focuses our attention on how to identify, operationalize, and implement multiple measures effectively, ensuring that abstract improvement theories and concepts can be translated into concrete, actionable observations as part of our change effort. You will be provided opportunities to explore and integrate various assessment tools and methods to foster a comprehensive understanding of organizational effectiveness. And by the end of this unit, you should be equipped to transform theoretical frameworks into tangible assessment practices that can help drive meaningful improvements in educational and organizational environments. Now, I strongly encourage you to focus really on the high-level insights this week. Don't get bogged down in the details. Try to pay close attention to cues and issues of assessment, measurement, including practical measurement, multiple measures, quantitative and qualitative elements, among other things. And as we embark further on this final unit of the course, I think it's really important to reflect on the journey of what we've done so far, all of the learning that has accrued over the course of the semester, as well as how the concepts that we've explored each week come together in practice. And you want to devote some time this week to the discussion board forum and the assessment. Throughout the course, you've really had the opportunity to delve deeper into the theoretical and practical underpinnings of assessment, as well as the role of data in effective decision making. We've examined various methods for collecting and analyzing data, both local surveys, quantitative assessments, qualitative cues, interviews, and then even last week, secondary data or existing data. We've explored some nuances in different measurement tools, and we've also discussed the importance of aligning metrics with goals, theories of improvement, and expected outcomes. And in this week's discussion forum, you'll be provided an opportunity to really look at these principles applied to a scenario around academic program review. So before we go further, check out Nichols' article on professionalism and read it. One of the things that's going to come up in this article is a review of our working definitions. Assessment, again, and a way to support reinforcement of learning as well as the culmination of this course, is a systematic process for collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data to inform decisions and improve policies, practices, and programs. It's not just about gathering a bunch of data, but actually using it to understand what's working well and what's not, as well as where improvement is needed. This is marked off from evaluation, which is really a systematic process of making judgments about the quality, effectiveness, and the value of a program, intervention, or practice based on analysis of data and evidence. It really involves determining whether objectives are met or left unmet, estimating overall impact, and summarizing success. It's really a judgment call about quality. All of this really is important elements of improvement science, which is a framework for undergirded by certain foundational principles that guide scholar practitioners to define problems, understand how the system produces those problems, identify changes that rectify those problems, and then test the efficacy of those changes as well as the scalability of them. There are sort of three critical questions we're focused on in improvement science. One is the exact problem we're trying to solve, what change can be introduced to address it or solve it, and then how will we know that that change is an improvement? In other words, what does success look like? Connected back to the operationalization of variables, operational is a procedure agreed upon for translation of a concept into measurement of some kind. This we borrow from 1994 Deming's work. But we also talk about issues of practical measurement. The practical measurement helps operationalize our theory of improvement. And then practical measures become practical in various ways. They inform improvement. Data is embedded in the day-to-day work task, and it's written in the language of the context, designed with the users in mind. And that there are at least four types of practical measures or multiple measures. One is outcome measures that measure our outcomes. They're lagging measures that answer, did it work? Driver measures are intermediary measures assessed prior to the outcome or the end of a thing, and they answer, is it working? Whereas on the other hand, process measures are measures of fidelity, ensuring that our process variation is under control. There's not a lot of waste. There's not a lot of noise in our implementation. And so it's asking or answering the question, how is it working? And then lastly, balancing measure. These are system vital signs that measure whether a change in one part of the system is disrupting or disturbing another part of the system. Again, this information in Nichols' article will take us back to the plan, do, study, act cycle. That there are certain things we will plan around our objectives, questions, and predictions that then inform what we will do as we carry out the plan and document the problems and unexpected observations. That collection of data allows us to study, gives us a complete sort of analysis of the data, allows us to compare data to predictions and summarize what was really learned so we can ultimately go back and then act. Pay attention to what changes need to be made, and then we feed that back again. And so in Nichols' study, I'm going to encourage you to read the piece. It's only 6 pages, but also pay attention to who the authors are, the year the piece was published, the purpose of the project, at least one definition of professionalism. They'll introduce you to several. And then summarize how they conducted their study. How many articles did they analyze or review? And then ultimately, what did they find? I think it's helpful for really putting this into a context in your mind to think at the end of reading this article, how does it relate to all that we've discussed about operationalizing terms and measures in ED 811? Now then, check out the other reading for the week and leave the balance of time for really working on this week's discussion forum and the assignment. The discussion forum for this week presents you with a scenario where you've been hired as a vice provost for institutional research and assessment, obviously because of your excellent training at Midland University. And the provost at this dream school that you wanted to work at has tasked you with really leading department chairs through a mid-year academic program review, assessing the health, strength, vitality, and quality, future growth capacity of undergraduate programs at the institution. Excited about the task, you pull up your notes from EDD 811 in your cozy office with the window, or it's a co-working space, whichever your heart's desire, for a brainstorming session of a few ideas. As you're working on this, an email pops up from the provost asking you to share information about the following as soon as you can. The first observation is that academic program review is a bit of assessment and a sprinkle of evaluation. And I offer you an opportunity to really distinguish between the difference of assessment and evaluation, being sure to mention whether you agree with the provost. Now, you may have to do some Google research to understand sort of the general mechanics of academic program review unless you're already familiar. Don't worry about airing your opinion and maybe differing or challenging the provost. Your job is well secured. Then you want to move through the other questions of the discussion forum about multiple measures, about quantitative and qualitative measures, as well as using APR, academic program review, to make some tough decisions about poor performing programs. And then the last assignment is to take all of the information that you've done, as well as the feedback you've gotten over the semester, especially assignments number 3, 5, 6, and 7. Look at the instructor's feedback as well as any input from your colleagues. Make edits, changes, improvements, and then resubmit as a single assignment, a single file, all of the work that you've done over the course of the semester on your problem of practice. Again, as you go through the week, if you have questions, consider the information in Canvas, all of the information from the reading, the textbook, the videos over the course of the semester, and certainly reach out to your instructor if you have questions. I hope you enjoyed ED 811. I wish you all the best.